Story 1.
We're getting married next month, but today he told me he settled for me because I wore shorts and used to cheerlead. Now I'm wondering if he's just been judging me this whole time. I'm 25 and engaged to my fiancé. We're both of Arab descent and Muslim, although we're not super religious, more culturally Muslim, really. We believe in the principles but are pretty Americanized, so we don't strictly follow everything. Please, no religious debates, that's not the point. Today, we talked about having kids and the values or rules we might consider for them. I shared how I hated that my parents wouldn't let me wear shorts when I was younger because it made me feel like they were sexualizing my body. For me, wearing shorts was about comfort, nothing more. I also mentioned how much I loved being a cheerleader when I was growing up. That's when he said he would never let his daughters wear shorts or cheerlead because he finds it too suggestive. That stung a little, and I pointed out, well, I wore shorts and cheered for years. He then said, yeah, I settled. I was honestly taken aback. I asked him what he meant, and he repeated it. It wasn't really about the shorts or cheerleading anymore. It hit me that the man I'm supposed to marry next month is saying I'm not what he really wanted, that he settled for me. I told him I was hurt and asked him to leave. He said I was being disrespectful just because he had a different opinion and that I can't handle not getting my way. I don't think that's true, I just don't want to marry someone who sees me as a compromise. I've been thinking about this, and it still hurts. Now I'm wondering, did I overreact? Am I the jerk for asking him to leave after that comment? Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Not overreacting in any way. That's a disgusting thing to even think, let alone say to your fiancé. And you don't want to marry a man who will treat your daughters that way. Commenter 2. Settled is one of the worst things you can say to someone you supposedly love. I've been there. It's like they're telling you you're not enough just for existing the way you are. Screw that. Commenter 3. You have every right to expect love and respect from a partner, especially someone you're planning to marry. Saying he settled is not just hurtful, it's a red flag. You deserve to feel chosen and appreciated, not like someone's second best. Asking him to leave shows strength and self-respect. You did the right thing for your emotional well-being.
Story 2.
My parents adopted my sister before having me, and we were inseparable until she found her biological family and turned on the people who raised her. I uninvited her for my wedding, and I think I lost my sister for good. I'm the youngest of 2 kids. My parents always dreamed of having a big family, but they went through several miscarriages. So, they decided to adopt. They welcomed a baby girl through a closed adoption, and just 7 months later, they conceived me. They called me their miracle baby. For clarity, my family and I are white, while my sister is Hispanic and black. Growing up, we were inseparable. People often said we acted like twins, and our bond continued into adulthood until she found her biological family. At first, I was thrilled for her. She often mentioned feeling like something was missing, and finding her biological family seemed to complete that puzzle. But then her attitude toward our parents changed. She began to criticize them for adopting, claiming that transracial adoption was wrong and that she felt traumatized because they didn't recognize her experiences as a person of color. I tried to stay out of their issues since it wasn't my place, but when she made my mom cry with nasty comments, I started to step back. One comment she made was particularly hurtful. She said they should have sought therapy for their infertility instead of snatching a baby. Even though things were tense, I didn't want to end our relationship. I couldn't imagine disinviting her from my wedding, especially since she introduced me to my fiancé. I kept reminding myself that she would always be my sister, so I asked her to be my maid of honor. That changed, though, when she posted a photo with her biological siblings, captioning it, "It's been such a relief to find my real family. I finally feel like I'm home." I was devastated. I always viewed her as my sister, but it seemed she didn't feel the same way about me. Not trusting myself to call her, I sent a text that said, "Since you don't see me as your real sister, there's no reason for you and her boyfriend's name to come to my wedding." After that, I blocked her number and she responded by blocking me on everything. Our mutual friends say she's calling me a racist. I honestly don't see how we can come back from this. I'm heartbroken over losing my sister, and now I feel like I never had one to begin with. Edit 1. Please stop insulting her in the comments. Edit 2. We had a talk this morning. One of our mutual friends asked me to unblock my sister for her sake. I called my sister, and we ended up discussing a lot of things. I apologized for blocking her and disinviting her without talking first. She offered an apology for the hurtful things she said in her post. She's going to delete the posts where she called me a racist and will apologize publicly for that. We agreed to stay blocked on social media because it seems like staying in touch that way only leads to misunderstandings. She will still be attending my wedding, but not as the maid of honor. We're not back to where we used to be, but my sister believes this is a step forward. Now that we've expressed our feelings, we can work on building a healthier relationship. Thank you to everyone who sent me DMs. They really helped me express myself while also considering her perspective. Edit 3. The people telling me not to reconcile were right. Update. I decided to uninvite my adopted sister from my wedding, and I doubt we will speak again. After my last post, I received several comments and messages saying I shouldn't have tried to reconcile with her. I wish I had listened. Yesterday, my parents offered to take us out for dinner. I couldn't go, but my sister chose to attend. From what my mom told me, the conversation about my sister's adoption came up, and things escalated into an argument in the middle of a busy restaurant. It ended when my sister suggested that my parents should see their miscarriages as a sign from God that they weren't meant to be parents. For context, my parents are quite religious. They always told us that their faith helped them heal from those losses. My parents aren't perfect, but that reaction wasn't fair. No one deserves that treatment. I'm tired of making excuses for my sister. I've been trying to be understanding of her feelings, but it seems like she uses her past to hurt others instead. I should have recognized this sooner with the comment she made about the baby. She isn't part of my life anymore, and I'm trying to encourage my parents to feel the same way. I sent her a final message that said, "I can't believe you said that to Mom. Please don't contact me again. Go be with your real family and leave us alone." Relevant comments. Commenter 1. I don't even know what to think. It seems that they all need therapy. But the adopted daughter really needs to talk to someone. What a sad post. Commenter 2. I feel bad for all of them. It would help to know how old the two sisters are and how long ago the adoptive sister found her birth parents and family. That is a lot to process. As a white person, I cannot imagine all that she must be going through in terms of defining and claiming her identity as a person of color. But I suspect that, with time, she might, or might have, softened her view about what her adoptive family did right, as well as what they may have done wrong in adopting and raising her. Commenter 3. I'm adopted, just like all my siblings. I have a brother who's a few months younger than me. He's white, and I'm Hispanic. Growing up, our childhoods were really different. It took me years and a lot of my own digging to figure that out. There were always people making comments about my skin color and pointing out how I looked different from my siblings. It honestly felt like every day there was something. I also dealt with a lot of racist remarks. But I don't blame my parents at all, they're amazing, and I love them. What your sister is doing to your parents isn't fair, especially if they did their best to raise her right. There's a perspective that she might be missing. When I finally met my biological family, it felt incredible to see someone who looked like me. I felt this rush of emotions realizing I was related to someone who had the same coloring. Instead of people asking why I looked different, we got to hear how much we looked alike. That was such a great feeling. The mom who raised me is my real mom and one of my best friends, someone I truly cherish. So, I don't really get why your sister seems to attack her, but I completely understand the feeling of connecting with family after not having that for so long.
Love Reddit stories? Hit subscribe and come back daily for more. Story 3. My dad had a daughter from an affair and left her to struggle alone. I found her letter in the trash, begging him for help while pregnant and broke. Now she's living with me, and my mom says she'll never set foot in my house again. +1 update. Follow Reddit Rocky for daily stories. I'm a bit confused and need to get this off my chest. I'm 28 and I really love my parents. They've always been there for me, supporting me and my family. Since my wife and I had a baby, they've been staying with us to help out, and honestly, having them around has been a huge support. Yesterday, my dad asked me to pick up the mail from his place after work so he could pay some bills. I went and got the mail, which was mostly bills and ads, but there was one actual letter. I didn't think much of it and handed it over to him. He ended up throwing it out, but my wife noticed it in the trash and, not knowing what it was, read it. It was addressed to him as father, so it was from my half-sister. She's pregnant and reaching out for financial help since things are tough for her, and she just wants to support her baby. I confronted my parents about it. She's around 21 and is the result of my dad's affair. He helped her financially until she graduated, but now it seems she's struggling and not in college. My dad suspects she might be doing some risky work to get by and, honestly, he doesn't seem to know for sure. He told me he's done supporting her and that she's not his responsibility anymore. We talked for about half an hour. My mom was quiet throughout the conversation, and my dad was someone I didn't recognize. It made me really angry. I ended up asking them to leave right then without taking their things because I felt like it was my fault. I have a sister out there living in difficult conditions while I'm here leading my life. After looking into her situation more, I talked to a couple of cousins a couple of hours ago. They were split on whether I did the right thing. One cousin thought I was wrong for making my parents leave without discussing it more, while her sister believed I did the right thing. My wife said she wants to stay out of it since she feels bad for reading someone else's mail. I honestly don't know how to feel. I love my parents, but I'm also really upset about this whole situation. Edit. Since I've seen some questions about it, my mom was aware of everything and that's why she was so quiet. Update. I want to thank everyone who suggested I talk to my parents. That was the first thing I did. I went to their house and tried to have a conversation with them. It was frustrating, and my mom got upset when I mentioned reaching out to my sister. She asked why I cared, and I got a bit emotional, telling her it was because she taught me to care. Afterwards, my dad surprised me by saying he was proud of me for being a better man than he is. That felt odd. Anyway, my wife got in touch with my sister Anna, and she agreed to meet up. We brought along my friend who's a cop, just to be safe. We met Anna at her apartment, which is in a rough part of town. It's small and not a great place to live. Anna is a quiet girl who works in a library, and she reminds me of my grandmother. She mentioned that she waits tables at a strip club to get by, although she can't do that now. She told me she feels like she's failed, just like our mom, and she wants to make sure her kid succeeds. She said she needs cash for pregnancy classes. I shared my number and gave her some money, though she insisted on giving a lot of it back instantly. Later that night, my wife asked if we could let Anna move in since she felt so heartbroken. I offered, but Anna said she didn't want to take advantage of us. About a month later, she called me crying, saying there was black mold in her building and she had to leave. She showed up with hardly anything, just some clothes, a wallet, a toothbrush, and a bag of old books. Since moving in, Anna has seemed sad and lonely, worrying that she's imposing on us. She's been trying to help with chores and apologizes often. She only lights up when she plays with our baby. Just a few days ago was her birthday, and she asked if we could get her cupcakes. It felt like she expected me to say no, but my wife went out and got cupcakes along with a DQ cake, while I got her the box set of The Expanse books. When she saw everything on the living room table, she started crying and hugged us both. In the days since, she has seemed happier, but I can't help but worry about her. I think having some stability has really helped. As for my parents, my mom refuses to visit as long as Anna is here, so I sometimes go to see them with the baby. My dad won't go either because he says he's ashamed. That's just how it is, I guess. On a positive note, my wife's parents told me they are prouder of me than ever. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, from one older brother to another, you're already a great brother. OP's response, thank you. I guess a big question that ran through my mind was, how on earth am I ever going to be able to say that I've been a good father, if I can't be a good brother? What lesson am I teaching my child? I needed to help my sister. I hate that we grew up apart. I hate that she's had such a miserable life. Honestly, a few weeks ago, I showed her my favorite movie, for a few dollars more, and I do hope that helped her understand that she's my sister and I'll always try to do right by her from now on. So thank you so much, it means everything to hear someone tell me I'm a good brother. Commenter 2, you're a good egg. I feel for you though. It's tough for anybody the day they realize their parents aren't perfect, and don't know everything, but this reveal is harsher than typical. When your mom asked why you care, and you just straight up said, because you taught me to. That's pretty heartbreaking. I can't imagine how challenging it is to confront that kind of dissonance. And I really hope that you don't continue to blame yourself for the actions taken by the adults in yours and your sister's lives, both then and now. Commenter 3, this is saddening. You can tell Anna was probably made to feel like she was a burden by others in her life, because she's so adamant on not wanting to take advantage of people's kindness. So glad you and your wife are there for her, and hopefully she can become more comfortable with you as you show her what family is supposed to be like. Story 4.
My husband cheated, and I found out through his GPS, a Vault app, and a bottle of his blue pills. He wiped his phone, but I connected the dots. Now he's mad I moved on and remarried, after he threw our marriage away. Follow Reddit Rocky for daily stories. I'm Hannah, a 40-year-old woman. I met my husband, Ben, who is 38, in 2015. We were brought together by our shared interests and started dating. By the end of 2016, Ben proposed, and I happily said, yes. We got married in late 2019, just before the lockdowns hit. I felt like the happiest person in the world because I had married my best friend, and I truly believed our relationship was perfect. Like any couple, we had our ups and downs, but we never faced any major arguments or issues that would affect our bond. After the lockdowns were lifted, I noticed some changes in Ben. He began to adjust his work schedule to be away from home more often. He stopped joining me for movies and family outings, and he seemed snappy and distant. Deep down, I sensed that he was pulling away from me. In March 2022, I had to travel out of state for a weekend. While I was away, Ben failed to answer my calls or texts and even disconnected our home security systems, definite red flags. After some difficult soul searching, I decided to cut my trip short and come home a day early without telling him. I arrived at 3 a.m. on a Sunday, a day earlier than Ben expected. When I got home, I found Ben asleep alone, with his phone next to him. I picked it up and stepped outside to look through it. I'd never done this before during our relationship. What I discovered made me feel sick. He had been sending pictures to various women on Snapchat and had even searched for addresses to their homes. Checking the GPS in his car confirmed that he had been to those places. Ben had struggled with erectile dysfunction, so he kept a bottle of blue pills at home. I knew he had recently refilled his prescription, and when I checked the bottle, I saw that several pills were missing since I'd left on Friday. His screen time showed he'd spent hours on messaging apps, but he had deleted all records of phone calls and texts to keep me from seeing who he was in contact with. I discovered an app called Vault that allows you to store photos and videos securely with a password. I sent pictures of all the evidence I had found on Ben's phone to myself. I woke him up and said we needed to have a serious conversation. When he saw me holding his phone, he looked like he'd seen a ghost and tried to grab it from me. I handed it over but told him I had already seen enough. I asked him for the password to the vault since we had agreed on being open about our devices and passwords in our relationship. He flat out refused and said he would rather end things than share the password. That told me everything I needed to know. In the following days, I began the process of filing for divorce. I was heartbroken that my best friend, and my partner of 7 years had treated me this way and tossed our relationship aside so easily. I fell into a deep depression. I lost nearly 30 pounds because I couldn't eat, struggled to sleep, missed several days of work, and ended up in counseling while taking medication just to feel somewhat normal. After a couple of months in this dark place, my best friend Mallory encouraged me to try a dating app to meet new people. I was unsure since I had never used one before, but I thought it might help me move on from Ben. I joined Tinder and connected with Jake. We enjoyed chatting and eventually decided to meet in person. I was open with Jake about my situation, sharing that I was going through a divorce. He thought Ben was foolish for losing a woman like me. As time passed, we spent more time together and quickly became inseparable. By summer 2022, Jake asked if we could be exclusive. Then, in December of that year, he surprised me with a marriage proposal. I was overwhelmed with emotions, but I said yes. Once we announced it on social media, I started hearing from Ben again. Ben reached out, expressing that it embarrassed him how quickly I had moved on and that I was engaged again. He also made a point to tell me he didn't approve of Jake as my partner. I found it ironic because he was the one who cheated and ended our marriage. Jake and I eventually got married in 2023 at a beautiful tropical destination. He went all out to make it special for me. Again, Ben contacted me, saying I looked like the one who cheated since I had moved on so quickly and remarried. So, am I the bad person for moving on and remarrying soon after my ex-husband cheated and left? Relevant comments. Commenter 1, as someone who went through a similar experience as you, I have to say that even though I went the route you suggested, I'm single though, and lived my life the best I could, some parts of me still get angry when mutual people we know talk about my ex like he's a good person, because they don't know what happened. They don't realize he's a sack of you-know-what, and my ex did even worse things than yours because I did get into his vault and saw what was in there. And part of me still wants to tell people. Commenter 2, Ben is embarrassed that you moved on to someone else so quickly after you guys split up? Maybe he should be more embarrassed that he moved on to several other people while you were still married. Commenter 3, the fact he is even inflicting his opinions on you is weird. He is the one who cheated, that broke your marriage, and his thoughts should be irrelevant. You need to block him and not read anything he's posted.
Story 5. Thanks for watching. If you love these stories, hit that like button, subscribe, and come back tomorrow for more Reddit drama.